Welcome to Start Homeschooling, where confident homeschooling thrives. Homeschooling is not school at home. It's a way of life. We encourage, empower, and equip you to cultivate the authentic homeschool lifestyle where freedom and relationships rule.
Hey friend, welcome to Start Homeschooling. I'm Colleen, and today I'm with Stacy, Kim, and Michelle, and we're going to be talking about our biggest regret, and then we're going to each give you a piece of advice. I'm going to turn it over to Michelle to moderate it and run the show.
Okay. So I get to pick on Stacy first. Sorry, Stacy. How many years have you been homeschooling?
This year finishes year 14.
And do you combine that? See, I feel like we should give our full experience here because you've already graduated one. And now, so that's 12 plus the next, 10 years? So you're really at 22 years?
Wow, that's a funny, long way of looking at it, right?
Right?
Yeah, and if you have multiple kids like you, Michelle, 5 kids, each year is really 5 years of experience.
Right. That's
Right.
crazy. That's too much. But that's one way to think of it. So, because each child is so different, you have experience with those children. So, Stacy, what would you say is your biggest regret?
When I was thinking about what my biggest regret would be, a couple things came to mind. The first one was I feel like I pushed too hard in the early grades. I feel like I maybe pushed and made them do things that they didn't really need to do at that age versus focusing on what we talk about here at Staderos a lot, organic homeschooling. I was new to homeschooling with my youngest when she started kindergarten. I didn't know anybody who homeschooled. I had no experience with it. And so I kind of treated it like school at home. And I regret that in the beginning. And I'm glad that I did learn from that and do it differently as they got older. And another regret that I thought of was not realizing sooner that my children had completely different learning styles and
Mhm.
completely different needs as far as curriculum, co-ops, enrichment programs. And it was funny, I asked my 11th grader about half an hour ago, what would you say that our biggest regret was in homeschooling? And he said, well, I really hated that enrichment program we did in first grade. And I said, I know. And I'm glad we didn't go back in second grade, but I do regret putting him in that in the beginning because I focused on this is a great program. Everybody's doing it. It must be awesome. Instead of looking at my child and seeing his heart and his needs and saying, wow, it's a great program, but it's not for him.
Did you feel like that was a fear that you had to overcome from the beginning? What was your biggest fear when you started homeschooling?
When I started, I kind of just fell into homeschooling because we had some experience with the local public school with my stepson, and I just knew that I didn't want to do that anymore. But I didn't know anybody who homeschooled. I had no idea what that meant until a neighbor said, hey, your daughter's going to start kindergarten. You don't have to do school. You can homeschool. And I was like, what is that? So my fear was, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to do something wrong. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to not teach her something that she needs. So I would say that was the biggest fear, just fear of the unknown, fear of I don't know what I'm doing. And you only get one chance with each kid. Yeah, and I didn't want to mess it up.
I understand that. Do we want to jump into Stacy's advice now, or do we want to have all the advice at the end?
I think we should save it for the end.
Okay. Those are very valid fears. I understand that. Thank you, Stacy. Kim, how long have you been homeschooling? Guess
Well,
really
yeah,
24 years?
26 if you count pre-K.
That would be for 2 kids, right?
Yeah, for 2 kids, yeah, about 26 years. And then, we all stay involved even beyond that because it's who we are and what our lives are. But yeah, with my own kids, I guess you'd say 26 years. Yep.
And how about you? When you first started, what was your biggest fear or hurdle?
I felt a lot of pressure to get everything exactly right because I was coming from the classroom. I was a quote unquote professional teacher. People would look at me and say, well, of course she knows exactly what to do. But the reality is that teaching in the classroom and being a homeschool teacher slash parent are two completely different things, apples and oranges. And I did not fully grasp that. As much as I knew about homeschooling before I even started, I still did not really get it until my youngest was halfway through kindergarten and we both hated it. And I thought, what is going on? Why do we hate this? I'm a failure. And I've talked about this before. I had a couple friends that came to my rescue, you know, just grace of God at the right time. I'm thankful I went through that, feeling that and being humbled a little bit to sort of realize, wait a minute, these are very different things. And I need to completely shift my paradigm. Whereas in the beginning, I was all about the curriculum and the schedule and having the morning time in front of the calendar where you sit quietly and you pop the balloon for what day of the week it is or whatever that is, to in the end being really so much more free spirited about it. And I love that transition happened. And not that I never, went back to that, but every time it felt like every time we were off the rails in our homeschooling, I realized I was pushing us back into the classroom. And I had to push pause and step away, sometimes physically step away from the curriculum, close the book, put it on the shelf, throw a towel over it and say, let's go do something else. What are we interested in? Let's go chase that down today. So getting back on track like that. But that was definitely a learning curve for me. And I'm thankful that I went through it because I'm glad that I can share that with other homeschool moms who think they have to recreate the classroom in their home. And you don't have to do that, nor should you do that.
That's beautiful. And it is interesting how these fears and hurdles and even our regrets still teach us so much.
Okay.
What would you say your biggest regret was?
My biggest regret. Some of the academically, I'll just touch on the academic ones. The math program that we used was not a good fit for us. It seemed good at first, but we found out too late that it really did have too many gaps in the upper levels. And so that translated into issues with test taking later on, which my other regret, I wouldn't have messed around with the SAT. And because not all colleges require that specifically, not all majors require it. And so my older son really, as we leaned into the homeschool lifestyle, my older son was mostly interested in two things, Bible and Japanese. And so we said, okay, let's go for this. Well, guess what's not on the SAT? Bible and Japanese. And so we thought, uh-oh. But it turned out that he ended up at a Christian college in Japan. So in reality, he didn't have to mess with that test. He was doing exactly what he needed to do that transferred super well into where he ended up being. So I wouldn't bother about that. But in hindsight, circling way back to the beginning, I definitely would have found a better math program first and looked ahead a little bit more and thought, well, what might he be looking at and really needing and kind of switched gears a little bit.
Yes. And these all come down to we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
And we do what we can, but yes, we do regret those things. Colleen, how about you? What's your biggest regret in your homeschooling years? First, you have 3 boys. How long have you been homeschooling?
13, unless you count them separate, then 37 and a half.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy that I don't feel old enough to say I've been doing anything for 37 and a half years.
Right.
Mm.
No.
So
Wow.
I don't have just one biggest regret. I'm always extra. And I really can't narrow it down to one. I feel like if I don't share all 3, like I'm doing a disservice to moms who are figuring out this homeschool thing. So I'm going to try to share them quickly. The first one is getting caught up in the idea or the culture that enrichment supplement programs are necessary,
Mm.
especially for the younger ages. And that's really risky in Colorado. There's so many programs there and they all look so enticing. But the reality is the people are making money off of them, so they market them really well. And then the culture at large or the community at large gets caught up in the frenzy. We need this program. We need that program. Oh, look at this. Your kid can get a pilot's license before they're 16. And that might be good for some kids, but to, what Stacy was saying, that doesn't mean it's good for all kids and it isn't really necessary. So I regret not just keeping things pure homeschooling.
Mm.
But at the same time, I don't begrudge the experiences that my kids had. And I know why I made the decision to do it. And it was a valid decision. I wouldn't necessarily completely change it, but I would have changed how I approached it because it kept them from being enrolled in public school full time, which I think is the most important thing. My oldest son and I were talking over the weekend, and I didn't even prompt him to ask me, what do you think our biggest regret was? It was just divine timing that he said, you know what you messed up on the most, Mom?
No.
Tell me. Love to hear it. Your timing is perfect. Tell me. And he started Civil Air Patrol when he was 12 because he was like crazy about airplanes. And I'm like, okay, this is the next logical step. And he said, I wish you would have not started me when I was 12. I wish you would have waited a few more years so that I could have appreciated more what I had access to and an opportunity for. He said, I think it would have changed the way I turned out growing up if I had waited a few more years to mature a little bit before you put me into that. So that was validation for me thinking about my biggest regret and wishing I hadn't done that. But at the same time, he learned really amazing things and it helped my kids grow in leadership. So it's tough. Like there were still good things that came out of it. And then also very similar to what Stacy said is taking things too seriously when they were younger. I allowed the curriculum to get in my head and not just where the curriculum was running the show each day, but it made me feel inferior and less than and incapable. And like I was an imposter and I had no business homeschooling my kids. And that's a big reason for what we do at Stotheros, because when I started this, it's because it was so hard for me when I started homeschooling and I couldn't find mentors to come alongside me and help me the way that I needed to be helped or to reach my brain in the right way because I felt like I had to fit into a box that wasn't mine. I really want families to get the help that you need customized for who you are without judgment. For anybody who's listening who feels like you're struggling and you don't have the support you need, we are here. These coaches are here. They will spend time with you. They will walk with you. You can contact us. You can join our private Facebook group to ask questions and get help that you need because I don't want you to feel the way that I felt starting. Another big regret and I don't even think it's something that I had control over, was not being able to have the community that I needed to figure out how to be the best homeschooler that I could be to help my kids. I wouldn't change it. I feel like my kids have a good education. I don't feel like their education is lacking. It's just, it has been hard fought. I'll put it that way. And I regret how hard fought it was. I want to make it easier for other people.
That's beautiful.
Welcome to Stotheros Homeschooling, where confidence replaces confusion and you're never left to figure it out alone. Our umbrella school, Stotheros Academy, fulfills legal reporting requirements for Colorado families, and we offer annual homeschool evaluations in Colorado and Florida. But that's just one part of what we do. We also offer personalized coaching, official transcripts, high school planning help, and detailed transcript reviews so your student stays on track and set up for success. Do you need tools to stay organized? Our shop is stocked with homeschool essentials like planners, attendance logs, course description guides, report cards, unit studies, and even creative printables for younger learners. Whether you need parent training support, guidance on how to plan, ideas on how to teach, scheduling assistance, help with course planning, high school help, or just peace of mind that you're doing it right, we are here for you. Visit the show notes for more information and let us walk alongside you.
So I think in that you did state your biggest hurdle when you began was with, or biggest fear. You felt that imposter syndrome, and the hurdle was overcoming the control you let the curriculum have over you. Would you add anything else to that?
Well, I was just scared that I was going to ruin them. What if I ruin these children? You know what I mean? And I didn't know enough about myself when I started to understand, oh, there's this thing in my brain and it makes it bounce around and I can't stay focused very well unless I'm super, super interested in it. Oh, that's ADHD. I had no idea. Right? I wasn't realistic. I mean, and it wasn't even that I was unrealistic, it's that I just didn't know enough. I was ignorant about what I was dealing with as far as my own challenges and obstacles. And I think I just had this pressure on myself to try to be the best perfect mom that I could be. And I didn't have a point of reference of what that should really look like. And so it was just so much pressure. I think moms putting so much pressure on themselves to do the best, be the best, get the best curriculum, teach it the best, show up the best, when all you really need to do is be there and look in your kids' eyes and listen to them and talk with them, answer their questions, ask questions with them. If you don't know the answer, find the answers together, play together, breathe the same air. It's all in relationship. That's the answer, I think.
Yes, and that's a big one. And we've talked about this before. Is there's no actually one right way. There's no one reference point to go from because each family is so unique. So it's taking that and discarding stereotypes,
Totally.
living into the uniqueness and beauty of your own family.
And each child, right? Because that's the
Mhm.
point of homeschooling, isn't it? So we can customize each child's education for their unique learning style and needs and interests.
Correct.
So when you tune out the people you hear, I mean, and I'm not saying don't go to a homeschool conference or listen to influencers. I'm not saying that, but don't let them dictate what you do. Don't let what they say make you feel guilty if you're not doing it. Now, if you feel conviction and you're like, oh, I need to be doing more of that, follow. Conviction is good. Conviction and guilt are two separate things. Guilt
Correct.
keeps you up at night whispering in your ear that you're a failure, you haven't done enough. What I have learned to do is say, okay, I pray, Lord, am I being convicted of something here? Show me what I need to be convicted for. Show me what I need to change, what I need to repent or what I need to change, how I need to improve for my kid. That's different. But I
Mhm.
think when we look at the perfect curriculum and the Insta pictures and all the things, and we compare ourselves to the other moms, when you compare your insides to someone else's outsides, you're setting yourself and your family up for failure every single time.
Mhm. And I think that was my biggest fear going into it. One, not understanding what homeschooling was, wondering if I was even capable of this thing, and seeing people who were on their fourth kid and in middle school with their fourth kid. So, of course, it looked way different for them. So, I didn't feel smart enough, capable enough. And where I first started homeschooling was not encouraged. It was definitely looked down upon. You didn't publicly state that you homeschooled because they would say, "What makes you think you can do that?" And sometimes I was like, "I don't know what makes me think I can do this, other than I love my children. And this is just the next natural step for my kids and for our family." Another thing that I struggled with early on was that fear of the truancy, somebody calling on me because my kids were out in the front yard playing. And that never happened and no one cared. And interestingly enough, our home was by the bus stop, and other people were like, "Why do you get to play with your kids in the front yard?" And some others started homeschooling because of it. So they like, "Wait, I want to play with my kids too." So there's beauty in it, but it was something I had to overcome and work past. With 5 kids, I've graduated 3, I still have 2 in high school. So if you added that up, other than just the 20 plus years from when I started, I would be over 50 years of homeschooling. That's crazy to think of. I'm certainly couldn't be old enough to be homeschooling for 50 years. But I think my biggest regret that maybe I had control over, because there are regrets I have that in the end I didn't have control over, They were circumstantial, they were family related, or just timing. You can't control those things. But I felt like similarly to Colleen and Stacy is I need to have them in this particular enrichment. It's educationally sound, it produces amazing young people. I need to do this. It didn't fit really for our family. It was not our style of homeschooling. And it was also hard. I never regret having all the children I have. I'm so grateful for every single one of them. But of course, it makes it complicated in its own way to feel that stretch between toddler and teen, to feel the stretch between the needs of different kids. And when we did do that one program, I felt like at least they had something because I had a baby at that time who was nearly failure to thrive. So a lot of focus went in on that child. But then I wasn't paying as much attention to the needs of my middle schooler and let that one program do it. And I sadly probably still could have done it better, just sitting on the couch, nursing a baby, making sure that they're keeping up on things. But I needed to learn that. Those kind of things we have to learn throughout our journey as homeschoolers.
And now you can share with others your story and say, don't do the same types of things. Here's a better way.
Right.
You-
So, Kim, that kicks us off well. What would you give as your best piece of advice now?
It's hard to narrow down to just one, of course, but as I was thinking about this, it probably comes down to being more intentional about their own personal walk
Mm.
with Lord. We did a lot, but in hindsight, I would focus there even more because we were going through a lot of things in our family with my husband's cancer that were pretty intense. And I did a lot of things that were just like, you're just trying to keep your head above water when you're in the middle of trauma or crisis. And so we were able to get a lot of help from family and friends. But at the same time, there was a lot going on. And I think that some of their things that they needed to work through could have been navigated a little bit better. But again, you don't know what you don't know when you're in the middle of it. You do the best that you can with the information that you have and you trust the Lord for the rest. And so, yes, I can say in hindsight, I would do that more, but I would do that even with myself today. I think that's core value to be more intentional about our walk with the Lord. But again, very personal thing. And it's probably something that we all have different views on. And that's okay. But that would be my best advice. My other piece of advice I have to throw out there is definitely a little more light, but take your vacations in the fall or the spring because you get the best prices and the least crowds. Right, Colleen? That's my best advice.
100%. Yes.
How about you, Colleen? What's your best piece of advice?
I'm trying to figure out how to say it succinctly. Just because something is good doesn't make it best. And you will see a million good things as a homeschooler, but that doesn't make any of them right for your family.
Mhm.
So be very intentional about putting up boundaries and not allowing yourself to get sucked into things just because somebody's doing it or because it looks good or because you have a fleeting thought that it might be great. We have a lot of distractions in the world, whether it's scrolling social media or it's busy schedules or everything that a mom has to do just to keep houses running. And then you add the homeschooling things. Take time to sit in a quiet space and to, like, if journaling is good, and think through, write through what your challenges are with each of your kids, what you want for them, what things you feel like you need to work on. It's a lot of the stuff that's actually in our parent evaluation. Take time to be intentional and figure out really the heart of the matter in the most simple terms of what each kid needs and what you need, and then go after the thing that's going to suit that best. Don't try to fill things or throw spaghetti at the wall and see what's going to stick. Time is too valuable. Be intentional.
It's beautiful. Stacy, what would be your best advice?
My advice for people like me who are more type A, always worrying, would be to enjoy the ride, enjoy the life that you're creating, enjoy the kids. Don't get caught up in all the to dos, all the classes you should be doing. Don't get caught up comparing yourself and just enjoy the children that are in front of you and the life that you have with them while they're in your home. And there's a saying that I love, and it says something along the lines of, yes, they grow up too fast, but I was there for every minute.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I want to look back.
That's beautiful. I like that saying.
Me too.
And really, I don't have any better advice than you all have given. I would say much the same. Please don't compare yourself. You are unique. Your child is unique. And value, like Stacy said, and Colleen and Kim, value the beauty of each child. Each one is incredible. And they do grow up. And they do grow up well. And they do face their own hurdles, ones you could never even imagine. But if you've built that relationship from the beginning, you get to help them over the hurdle and you get to be there with them. And that's the beauty of homeschooling, in my opinion. Do know yourself and live into the beauty of you as an individual and know each one of your children. Colleen says, look in their eyes, take the time to breathe the air they breathe. Enjoy the interests that they enjoy, even if it's not your interests. It means you get to know your child in another way. So the homeschooling journey is absolutely worth it. It is life. It has its ups and its downs. It does have its regrets, but that's life. Sadly, life has its regrets, and we can't ever choose what's going to come our way, whether it's in our family or in our neighborhood or in the schools, the classes they take. We don't get to choose what they face, but we can choose to do it with them.
From confused and overwhelmed to confident and thriving, our homeschool coaching helps you find your footing and flourish. Start your transformation with us today in the show notes. Thank you for joining us on today's episode. We hope that you enjoyed the conversation and found it insightful. Be sure to check out today's show notes for all applicable links and additional resources. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. Your support helps us continue to bring you great content. Until next time, happy homeschooling.